Okay, we are back with episode 24 of PuckPod by BE Sports. Oh, boys, it's been a long time. We are all so burnt out. My name is Brian. I'm here with Christian and David. Let's start it out how we usually do. Christian, how was your week?
This was probably like my longest week of the year. Like this week dragged on forever. I like just school wise, hockey wise. I had tests, assignments, hockey. It was one day I was mad about the Leafs, next day I was happy, the next day I didn't even want to talk about the Leafs. And just like it just felt like forever since I got to talk to you guys. It's been forever, man. That's all I got. My week was long. It's better now. If you asked me 2 days ago, I would have said it was torture, but we're good now. We got a Leaf game tonight. I'm back in a good mood. How about you, Dave?
Yeah, man. Big Leaf victory always it heals all wounds. I'm in total agreement. I legitimately cannot like the last time we recorded was trade deadline day. So
Yeah.
when was that? March 3rd, I think.
Now I think we recorded this Saturday morning, right? That's when we did the
Yeah. Okay. So March 4th.
So it's been 10 days.
That's the last time we had something like this. It literally feels like it's been 2 months. I'm like, it's been so like 10 days. They've flown by and they also haven't at the same time. Like it's so weird. Like I literally can't remember the past 10 days. I could barely remember Leaf games at this point. I'm just remembering scores. What about you, Brian? How are you feeling?
Pretty good. I completely agree with you guys. BD Sports as a whole, we haven't touched anything for 10 days, and
Hey, I made a TikTok.
That is
and
true.
it was a good TikTok. It's a good TikTok too.
That is true. To be honest, I didn't see it. So,
bro, it's already our most watched, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tune in after this.
I was very surprised.
I'll tune in after this. TikTok. But what I will say is that like we're in the like the dog days of like everything, like academics, work, school, even the weather, boys. We had who gets snow
dreary Monday.
Like
a dreary Monday.
How do we get snow in the middle of March? Like it should be transitioning to like rain pellets now at this point. But no, like I don't know. This is ridiculous. But
it's still like -5 outside some days. It's like it's insane. Like I don't get it.
Some days are beautiful, man. Some days I go outside, I'm like, this is like incredible. This is what every winter day should be like. The next day I go out, I'm like, this is like move me to Florida right now. I'm hopping on a plane and I'm gone.
It just started snowing again. I'm like, why? Like, for what reason in particular? Like, can you just stop? We've already gotten walloped, I think, in the past month, like 4 separate times.
Once a week.
Literally once a week with like a proper snowfall. It's like, I've had enough.
Every time, it's right before the weekend. It's either Thursday or Friday.
That's even worse.
The ultimate buzzkill.
Dude, it must have. I'm pretty sure it killed off plans last week for me. I know that for sure.
Yes,
because last week was only recorded, right? No, it killed off any plans I had.
And if we get another snowfall, it's gonna kill St. Patty's Day. Like, just outright.
I better not. I'm praying for that. Wait, hold on. Before we continue, has anybody heard any? Like, is there any news on that front?
I just checked. It's gonna rain.
Okay.
Oh no, not the rain. Not the rain.
I'll take the rain.
But if it
At
drops,
this point, exactly.
If it drops below 0, you know what happens. But okay.
But here's the thing. There's a difference though. If it's like a heavy rainfall, then it's like we're in for trouble. But if it's like a few millimeters, then
I am in agreement with you. I am in agreement with you that bad rain is worse than heavy snowfall. Like bad rain is absolute hell to drive in, but like I can do snow.
That's what I was gonna say. Driving, yes. If you're
in the home
or whatever, yeah.
Okay. I will also be saying this until playoffs start. Every single episode for the podcast will be shooting for 45 minutes, knowing these two. If I say a specific L word, it's gonna we can add another 20 minutes to that. But we're just burnt out, and we know come playoff time, we just want to be energized and have energy for that. But we're going to start with my team for hockey. We're going to start with the Capitals. And I just want to thank you both for sending us Rasmus Sandin, who has 8 points in his past 4 games, 1 goal, 7 assists. Boys, everything that you guys have said about this guy, nail in the head and tenfold. He's feisty. And what I like about him is that, like, right now, he knows he's the number 1 guy. John Carlson's hurt. So he's actually stepping up to the plate and he's stepping up to the role and he loves it. He's super underrated on the power play. I don't know if he probably wasn't getting that position for you guys because you guys have a loaded like power play. He's probably on PP2 at best, right? But
Yeah.
he's so good at just knowing when to push up just a little bit to support the puck carrier or just to make that sweet pass to Ovechkin. Like he is special. Like this guy is our future number one D-man. I think he's that good. Potentially Norris winning, but then again, John Carlson potentially.
He's sold, man.
But
oh my god,
boys, potentially like not Norris winning because John Carlson never won a Norris either, right? So I'm a big fan. And okay, against the Kings game, in the Kings game, there's one play where he's battling in the corner against I think it was Kempe and Kopitar, both of them like in the corner by himself. He's just fighting them and he just shrugs them both off and wins the puck. Like this guy is.
I mean, that's
warrior.
a different story if that's like some random bum third liners, but that's like former Selke winner Anze Kopitar, like Adrian Kempe, who's no slouch himself. I know he's not the biggest guy, but like he's not a slouch either. He's actually very good defensively, I think. Yeah, no, I mean, dude, like, listen, we said it. Like, we knew what we were losing. I don't think as Leaf fans we ever really got to saw the full potential of what Rasmus Sandin could be on our roster. He had glimpses earlier this season with Rielly hurt he missed, I think, what was it, like 2 months. It was a substantial amount of time. Over like 15 games, I believe. And he stepped up to the plate most nights, but then there wasn't like those nights where, you know, it looked like the lack of experience, I guess you could say, like his tender age, I guess, kind of got the better of him. You know, he would make like a couple. There'd be a couple brain cramps, and it would lead to some goals, some chances against. Sometimes he got bailed out. Sometimes they got scored on. You know what? The guy's 20. Was he 23 years old? Is he our age or?
I think he's 23.
Yeah, it's expected. Like the guy's got, I believe, under 200 games right now, of just under 200 games of NHL experience. He's going to grow into something special on that Caps team.
I think we ink him now long term. Like,
he's got one more year at 1.4, and he's RFA after that. Still, yeah. What would you give him right now? Like out of this season, let's say he continues this. Let's say he puts up, let's say there's 20 games left. If he puts up another 10 to 15 points, so let's say 23-ish points in 20 games. What are you giving him? What are you willing to throw at him?
I'd give him his floor, which is top 4 potential. I'd give him 4.5 x8 in that range easily. Just based off this right now.
I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, I think that's honestly pretty fair. Yeah, they could all.
That has. Sorry, that like 4.5 by 8 has the potential to be like it could either. I wouldn't say it would age like milk. Like I don't think there's a scenario where it ages like milk, but it's one of those contracts. Yeah, it's one of those contracts where it either ages like the finest wine you've ever had in your life, or it just ages like a good wine, like a decent wine that you'll get at like you're a typical Italian restaurant. Like there's no like there's an in between there, and I think like 100% if he puts up that similar type of production with, you know, what he's doing right now, I think 4.5 for 8 years is like fantastic.
There's one more thing I just wanted to point out. He has a stellar eye. Like TJ Oshie is the type of guy that likes to like make the tip, make like the crazy, like, you know, you've seen it. Just put the stick in front of the net, let the guy shoot the puck at your stick, and he'll deflect it. But Rasmus Sandin, fake shot, swings the puck into Oshie. Oshie just puts it in top corner. Like that is what you want from a defenseman like this. He provides that little bit of offense and that little bit of fire that we need. And I'm glad to see him shine because I know for a fact on your team, he'd probably be the 7th, 8th, 9th, whatever he would have been, and we wouldn't see it like this. And I'll tell you what, he looks really happy on our team. Almost as happy as Dylan Strome did when he first came on this team. But that's another story.
Some of the stuff you said there about Sandin, like the slap pass, the eye, and whatever, that's all stuff that I've been like expecting from Gustafsson. And we haven't really seen any of it because the guy doesn't get to play. And I want to just have a bit of a usage conversation as it relates to Sandin. The guy never got a solid runway to perform in our top four. We're talking about him as his floor as a top four defenseman. He was never steadily in our top four. He was always on a sheltered bottom pairing. And he never, maybe once or twice in his whole Leaf career did he ever get to 23, 24 plus minutes like he's getting in Washington every single night. I looked at one box score and he was on the ice for 25 minutes for Washington. Never ever got that leash in Toronto. It does sting a little bit when you see just the instant click that's happening in Washington. But yeah, it just goes back to that conversation of where the hell was he supposed to play for us? Because you've got Gio, you've got Brody, you've got McCabe, you've got Rielly. All of those guys are left-handed, so ideally they would play the left side. Brody goes on the offside. But so those are three guys I named ahead of him. He's never going to get that chance to break out in our decor. It's really unfortunate, and you can even make the argument that it's bad asset management when you look at a guy like Gio and his age and his contract status. He's making $800K this year and next year. After that, who the hell knows? He might hang them up. So to lose Rasmus Sandin for a guy that you're saying is better as a 38-year-old, yes, that's a little tough to hear. I still defend it a little bit just because of the fact that if he stayed with the Leafs, that value was only going to go down, right? Like you said, he would have been our 7-8, and he wouldn't have played in the playoffs outside of injury. We wouldn't have even got the first for him. If they were gonna let him go, it was the right time. And I gotta say, I'm super happy for the guy. I'm super happy for the Darude Sandin storm to take off because my God, he's lighting it up. Did he choose a goal song yet or no?
Like he has, but the thing is, I don't listen with volume. Like I don't watch hockey.
Oh, dude, it's gotta
You're
be
a
Darude
wacko,
Sandin.
Yeah.
man. You're wacko,
I listen
man.
to it on like
I wanna,
F3, like on the Samsung TV, like the level 3. That's the most I listen to it at. Like
Nah, my dad always wants me to crank it up. I like just like a steady volume. Like sometimes I want to watch a Leaf game and just like lay back and chill. But my dad is usually like, nah, this is the Leaf game. You gotta get it like at 20 and you gotta have the surround sound on and I want to be jacked up. I'm not like that, honestly, man. But I'm not 3 volume. I'm not that.
speaking of Capitals defensemen, you said the number 3, Trevor Brandon, like science 3x3 with the Capitals.
What are you putting your hand up for, man?
That was pretty good.
That
Okay,
is
come
no,
on,
like
come
it
on.
just
That was pretty good.
like, dude,
No,
that's
that was
insane
good.
that you thought of that one on the spot.
Yeah,
There's
was
no
good.
way.
Okay. Speaking. Okay, let's leave back on the Capitals. Trevor Brandon's like you guys said right away 3x3 was a little bit too much and a little bit too long. That was what I thought from. That's what I thought from you guys.
For me, it
right?
was the AAV. The term is fine. I think he was like 29 maybe 29, 30. Yeah. Okay.
The reason I think 3x3 is perfectly fine is because you're paying the premium for him knowing our system. A and B, 3 years is our time window. We have 3 years with Ovechkin, so let's try to give this team as much juice as we can, give it as much quality as possible for inevitably like our era is done, right? So I think this solidifies our right side. Until then, Carlson, Jensen, Van Riemsdyk, that's good enough for the next 3 years. That's perfectly fine with me.
Sandin and Fairbury as your Sandin's in there too on your left. I know it's your left side, but you're really we went from talking about you guys only having 1D under contract to 4 guys under contract, 1 guy RFA status, Sandin on a sweetheart deal. You guys are only 1 defenseman away now from getting that top 6 figured out.
It's Alexiev.
Look at that.
It's gonna be Alexiev.
Okay, done. So that was easy. Wow.
You hit the Staples button.
Yeah.
And,
we used to have that. We used to have one in English and French. Just say. Continue.
I will also say this. I like the moves that we make. I like in regards to the decor changing because we're significantly younger now. You know, I'm happier with the perform.
Yeah.
Like I'm okay with getting rid of Orlov now, knowing that either A Sandin or B Faravari will eventually become what Orlov was, if not greater. I mean, you can make an argument that Sandin's already better, right? But at this situation right now, GMBM kind of just fixed everything in 2 seconds. And I don't know. I'm good with it. I'm good with all the moves, considering that it does buy us a little bit more time to keep a competitive team with Ovechkin. One more thing about Capitals defensemen that I have. Vincent Aurelio, our defenseman, scored his first goal, assisting Ovechkin. Sorry, got his first point assisting Ovechkin a couple games ago. Got sent down right away against Providence. Got hurt. So there goes, there goes any shot of us having
God.
surplus defensemen or surplus players. Period. Coming in to the rest of the season or whatever. We're not gonna make the
It's
playoffs.
okay, dude. Tank bowl, man.
Yeah.
Tank bowl. That's a guy who's looking for a spot on the roster. Let him get that spot next year when you secure a top pick, right? Like at that point, it's just. But it sucks. It sucks for your AHL team though. Like I don't know how you guys are. What are you guys? The Griffins, Grand Rapids? Is that not you guys?
No, we're Hershey.
Hershey. How are they doing? Like I have no idea. Like are they doing okay?
I kept up for a bit, and then when we started winning, I stopped watching, and I just haven't cared since.
Okay, fair enough. So if they are maybe in a playoff hunt, like losing somebody like him, I know, like the Calder Cup, like it's a big thing for organizations. Like that's like the stepping stone, or not the stepping stone. It's like the highlight for franchises to say like this is what our farm system can do and what it's been producing. Like these are the potential stars of the future on this team. Like it looks good in an organization for as much as people would like to rag on the AHL and like it being an inferior, it's the feeder team. It's the feeder for the NHL. I think it still has a place. So losing somebody like that who's highly touted in the system, just, especially just before a playoff run, is he out like long term or is it like a week to week type of thing?
It's not disclosed yet, but what I will say is, if we are going to make the playoffs, if it does happen in the 6% chance you see on the betting odds, which probably realistically will not happen, like we don't even have like our 7th, 8th D man, so like it's over, boys. It's done. Yeah. But yeah, Christian, you had a question.
And I want your thoughts. On my favorite player, my new favorite Capital, Gregory Smith. Tell me about Craig Smith, bro.
Boring. Like he's not getting re-signed. Like he's so unnoticeable. I don't know.
Is he a future Arizona Coyote?
Yes. He's
a free agent at the end of the year, bro. He's gonna play on some fourth line. Yeah. Maybe it is Arizona. I think. Oh damn.
Arizona, Chicago,
like a third line.
He puts the cap on.
He'll get like a big, like a little payday there. Like what's he on right now? Like $1 million.
No, he's like
making
3.
No, dude. He's making like 3 something. Yeah.
Who paid it? Was it Boston that paid him $3 million?
Yeah, it was Boston. Yeah.
Ooh,
they signed him to like the equivalent to the Kerfoot deal. I think it was as a free agent.
He was,
bro. I'm telling you, I'm a Craig Smith defender. I'm asking about him just because it's funny, but I wanted that guy when he was a free agent.
He might be another like Nick Bukestad in Arizona, just getting some minutes there, and maybe working for another payday, but you never know.
He's literally,
or maybe the Caps just re-sign him. I like $3 million again. Who knows?
Brian,
DM, baby.
Brian would cry.
So I have reason to celebrate actually, and I think Dave will too, because his favorite Capital, Anthony Mantha, scored for the first time in 2023. How many games do you think he went without scoring?
I'm gonna say 30.
I gotta say 7 because he was injured a bunch or something.
You're both wrong. Higher.
What?
Okay, so it's games like so he does that also include like man game? Because I didn't take that into consideration.
Like games like he participated in, like legitimately.
Like he has higher than 30.
Higher than 30?
Yeah.
Oh, lower.
Didn't Dave say 30?
No, Dave said 3.
Okay, so that. No, I said 30.
Oh, no.
I forgot that he was injured, and I didn't realize that you were counting.
Oh, no.
Like you weren't counting man games lost. Okay, so it's lower than 30, higher than 7. So that's a big range we got there still.
17.
15?
19.
Okay.
So ship him out. Time to go. Okay. And that's all I have on Capitals.
Hey, you still won the trade. It's fine.
That is true.
Vrana, I think he's got like 2 or 3 goals now for St. Louis, man. He's hitting help a little bit now.
I hope
haven't seen Cappy on the score sheet.
Man, if only Detroit could use a scoring winger like that. Helping them for their playoff push, but whatever.
Let's get into Chuck Fletcher quickly. Christian's least favorite GM in the league. Mr. Hockey Terrorist himself. I hope we don't get demonetized. I hope we don't get like banned for me saying that word, but I think it's okay. Fletcher, Daniel Briere, they replaced the worst gym in the league with an unknown quantity. Obviously, Briere, fantastic hockey player. I liked him growing up, watching him play, but
he was one of my favorite players. Like
Fantastic
one of my
flyer.
all-time favorites. Yeah. Saber Flyer. I love Danny Briere. One of my favorite players. I know you said he's an unknown, but like he's apparently like he's one of those guys that I know. Yes, former players, so old boys club, yada yada. But this is a guy who apparently he's been cutting his teeth in. He's been really grinding at this over the past years. He was I want to say he was GM of JHL team for a little bit. Then he took over the Flyers AHL team, I think it was, and then he's now gone his way.
He was at the E. He was in the E.
In the E, okay. So it was the E.
Don't ask me what team though. I have no idea.
Was it? It was probably for like Philly's organization. Maybe that's
I believe so. But I know their AHL is Lehigh Valley. I have no idea what their E would be.
I have no idea. Anyways, he's been working at this. Like he's been trying to get to this spot. It's not like they just threw it to another former player type of thing. I actually have high hopes for Danny Briere, and he had his press conference early. I think it was this morning actually, and all signs and indications is that even though he's the interim GM, he already is talking and speaking as if he's gonna keep that role. I think he's definitely gonna keep that role. They might do like the president and GM combo. I don't know who they'd bring in for president. I'd honestly maybe just leave it with him as GM, throw some experienced assistant GMs beside him and call it a day. But I'm happy for Flyers fans and the Flyers organization that Chuck Fletcher is gone, because my God, that guy I like it. Okay, if we don't want to say hockey terrorist, let's say I don't know if it's any better. He committed war crimes against the sport of hockey. Does that sound any better? Yeah, like just
maybe.
Yeah, it's like Risto, D'Angelo, not trading JVR. Just you can go down the list.
Acquiring Brendan Lemieux.
I have a
for no reason.
The most toxic locker room, 100%. Like off the top of my head, I can't name another. Okay, well, actually, that's not true. I was gonna say that, and then I thought about the Canucks.
Who were you thinking? Okay, yeah, that's the
The Canucks probably give them a run for their money.
When you said toxic locker rooms, I was thinking like the 2013 Jets, like the Buffalo and Evander Kane stuff.
You can just go to last year's
2021 Jets as well.
Yeah,
they had to get rid of their cap. They shipped the C from Blake Wheeler because it was so bad.
So
one thing on Danny Briere, because it was going to eat at me. He was the Maine Mariners so that's the Flyers ECHL affiliate.
They got a cool logo. Don't they have like the Poseidon Trident? I think that's their logo.
I think so. I think that might be them. From 2017 to 2022, like this past so last February, he joined the front office to be special assistant to the general manager. So that's like the infamous Dwight Schrute position, assistant to the regional manager.
That's the hey, you're the intern in the front office. That's the Jason Spetz
the Jason
role, right?
Spetz, the future Wayne Simmons role. Like, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't know how you can say this is anything but a huge win for Flyers fans. You guys have anything to add on the Chuck Fletcher specific front before we maybe talk about some of the future stuff that I mentioned in the chat that we were talking about? Let's do Chuck Fletcher then.
So I have a list of notable things that he has done as Flyers GM. Okay, so this is actually in order.
This goes back to 2018, right?
Like, I only want to look back to like 2020-ish, right? Because like most of the war crimes happened in that era. COVID must have gotten to this guy. I'll just say that. Okay. So the first notable thing that he did was that I have here is dumped Nolan Patrick. Remember that weird three-way trade?
Yeah, that was Ryan Ellis.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. That's one
Ryan Ellis right now, boys. Ryan Ellis is
lose.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, the second one I have is that he dumped
Ghost. Hold on, sorry.
Yep.
What did they give up? Did they give up assets to have Ryan Ellis as well? Like other than Nolan Patrick, did they have to give up any picks or anything? Do you know, or no? From what I saw, it was
Philippe Myers.
Myers.
Yeah, Philippe Myers.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I don't know how you can say this is anything but a huge win for Flyers fans. You guys have any have anything to add on the Chuck Fletcher specific front before we maybe talk about some of the future stuff that I mentioned in the chat that we were talking about? Okay,
Okay.
so that's another guy who I think we can maybe call a dud because he's with Tampa now and he doesn't play regularly for them.
So
Okay,
another thing I have was that he cap dumped Ghost. He had to pay a second and a seventh for that.
Ew,
And
that's
I
looking
don't
bad
remember what
now.
the deal he was on. Yeah,
it was like
It was
3x4 or something like that.
4.5.
Yeah. But why is this an issue? Why? Because like why was dumping Ghost a problem? Just stop that.
why was it a problem? Oh, because they were making room
Yep.
to add somebody else. Yeah.
Yep. The next one.
Big old green jacket
Okay.
himself.
Oh God.
I'm gonna verify this. We're gonna talk Risto here. I actually might think that his numbers aren't bad this year. I know this sounds crazy. Risto is still bad. Like, there's no way to vindicate the deal. But I just wanted to throw a little bit of
I don't know if he's as bad as some people. Like, I don't know if he's
he was
jacket.
like, I'm just saying this specific year. I think up until this year, everything Masters winner and all.
Defensive partner not Provorov?
Sandheim.
It might be.
Is it Sandheim?
Sandheim, yeah.
Well, Sandheim is another thing though. That they extended that guy. We talked about it on the pod. We were like, yeah, this seems good.
That was just our first
I like Sandheim still this day. I still like Sandheim, yeah.
And, no. I do too. But you know, like they healthy scratched him a couple times this year. Like,
yeah, they also
just signed a guy to an 8-year deal. Yeah, that's true. It's that's
not.
Thing. Yeah.
So that's So I was about to say that's not. I don't know if that's not Chuck Fletcher. That's the face of the franchise right now. Who is the head coach? Like
Johnny Torts.
Unfortunately, right?
Flyers left side is like good. You could argue it's like in the top 10 in the league. It's Provorov, Sandheim, and a Sealer, I think, off the top of my head. Like that is
okay, but Provorov they're trying to trade now too.
Like,
and I think Provorov needs a change of scenery. Like,
but then
he needs to play on a different team.
But then again, like if you look at the names, it's like that's a really really good left side, right? But then you look at the right side and it's disgusting. It's actually tragic that
Angelo, Risto, and who?
It's Braun or York, one of the two.
Yeah, so it's York.
York's legend.
But so you have that. You have the Ristolainen acquisition that like. Unbelievable. Do you guys remember what they like paid for Ristolainen?
Wasn't it a first?
A first and a second and a roster player at the time.
Good lord.
The roster player was Robert.
And that was in the prime of us saying like Ristolainen is one of the worst players in the league. Like,
yes.
How do you manage that? Who were you outbidding? Yourself? You're telling me there was other teams interested in him? I mean, okay, maybe that part's believable, but you're telling me that was the asking price and you said, let's pull the trigger? Oh my God. Dear Lord.
Rasmus Sandin, man. Chuck Fletcher kind of redeemed himself here. He shipped Giroux off to a good place in Florida for that like 3 months.
Yeah.
Didn't get a lot back
for that one.
Didn't get a.
He got Tippett.
Yeah, but
Tippett's been good for them.
Yeah, but
he's been all right.
It was more. I saw.
And see, this is like the Kane thing, right? Like, do we blame Kyle Davidson for Patrick Kane holding him hostage?
No.
And saying, like, I'm only going to the Rangers? Because that's kind of what Giroux did. Not as... I feel like he did it a little bit more in cooperation with Philly. But he kind of did a similar thing. It was Florida or Colorado. And I think Florida had the better offer, right? That was the story there.
Another thing that he did, you can kind of give him points for this. Cap dumped Voracek.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing, too. Because they got Atkinson back, and I've always liked Atkinson, but I think it's a mixture of injuries and other things. And then he also has to play. Yeah, he also had to play for. Oh no, he didn't play. He hasn't played under Torts this year.
He did. No, not this year.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because was he not one of the players that was like outwardly against Torts a little bit?
The timeline is so weird, and we like how much of this we believe is tough to say. But he was one of the players who was probably in Torts' doghouse a lot in Columbus. Like, this is another guy who's getting the healthy scratches and whatever. So it definitely seemed like there was some friction there. And then Atkinson gets to escape Torts Island. He goes to Philly, only for Torts to follow him there. And he was actually, I think, the first player to come out and say, I like this move. Like, we need Torts. And so he did a full 180, which is weird. And how much do we believe that? I don't know. Maybe this is it. Maybe that was him just trying to mend the bridge, just maybe fresh start. It's funny though. We'll have to wait for Atkinson to hang up the skates, and maybe then he'll tell us the truth. Doesn't the whole Torts thing, the whole Philly, the state of Philly right now, kind of reminds me of like Toronto entering 2015-16 a little bit. Like, Torts is the Babs. They brought in a new GM. Danny Briere is obviously not Lou Lamoriello. Those are total opposites. Could they bring in a senior guy to put at president over Danny Briere that maybe has a little bit of the Lou Lamoriello vibes? Maybe that's how you get that. And I feel like they're gonna tear it down a decent amount. Briere said not everyone will be gone, and that's kind of how the Leafs were too. We did, as much as everyone likes to say we did scorched earth. It was a team that still had Rielly, JVR, Bozak, Kadri. Like, those were core pieces that stayed around through the terrible times.
And Gardner.
Yeah, I can't forget. No, because Gardner at that point, he's a core piece at that point, right? So you had all those guys. I feel like can kind of do this. Like, they could keep Konechny, Kevin Hayes maybe, although they were entertaining trade talks. Konechny, we never heard any trade talks about him. As much as other teams wanted him, I'll put my hand up, never really entered the conversation. So Farabee, Owen Tippett, Morgan Frost has been a little bit better this year. Cam Atkinson, like we talked about. Some of the guys on defense, Sanheim, like they can keep some of the decent pieces, but they really should be looking to get more youth into here, because they didn't do that at the deadline. It goes back to the JVR thing. These guys, you could argue that they bought as much as they sold, because they traded McEwen to acquire Lemieux, right? Like, what the hell? And that was the nail in the coffin for Chuck Fletcher. He appeared at the town hall a couple days later for the season ticket holders, and he got destroyed. Like, he got booed, right? And the rumor is that the plan was to fire Fletcher at the end of the season, and that reception at the town hall was so bad that it forced ownership to be like, we got to move that up. We got to fire him now.
But here's the thing. You didn't know that he was doing a bad job before this trade deadline? Like, was it really this trade deadline that highlighted, or this season that highlighted it? It wasn't like a couple years running now. Like, I don't know. What did they expect? Especially in the division that they're in. Like, like, there was no way of them getting out of like the sixth spot there. Like, at the sixth, if they finished in sixth place in the Metro this year, I would have been like, that's so much. Like, I thought they were locked for eighth. I didn't think Columbus would be this bad. I thought eighth was like the spot for them. So I was like, you could have done this, at the end of the year. You should have done this before the season started. I guess you give him one more year, but I don't know. He was just doing more damage. He honestly did more damage this year for them than anything else, because not getting rid of a guy like by doing nothing, he damaged them further than just selling off the pieces. Even if the pieces coming back were nothing to write home about, at least you would be getting pieces back and shedding salary and potentially shed, or even if you don't shed as much salary as you'd like, but at least you'd get something in return, and you probably drop in age a little bit too.
You know what's something I just thought about? Like, Phillies, obviously they're gonna continue to just kind of be wishy-washy the rest of the season. They're gonna find themselves in the Bedard sweepstakes. Could you imagine Connor Bedard having to play for John Tortorella? Like, could you imagine? Like, what does that even look like? Like,
60 points all defense.
Like, what the? Could you imagine that Bedard's behind the net, he's thinking Michigan, and Torts just benches him after? Like, that's what I'm imagining. I'm imagining Bedard showing up the competition and Torts digging into him in a press conference. As much as I want, I like I said, Philly is my Metro team. I hope they get Bedard, but I also would feel really bad for Bedard if he's playing for Torts, because I don't know if there's a match there. Anyways,
I don't know.
It'd be good entertainment, right?
It would be. But the last thing that I have notable that Chuck Fletcher did was he acquired Tony DeAngelo.
Noted great guy.
Yeah.
That was a first as well,
Such
right?
a fun-loving teammate.
I don't
that
have
guy
the
is.
I don't have the like the return. It probably
I'll
wasn't
pull it
estimated.
up.
Yeah, but like this guy literally picked up other people's garbage, trying to make it into gold. Like, you know what they say, like another man's trash, another man's treasure.
He paid the price of gold for the trash. Right?
Yes.
He didn't pay the price of trash. If you show me a broken Coca-Cola can, I will pay you 1 cent. No, he paid the $10.
Paid full
he paid
price.
a premium. He paid full price and then some. Like, where's the logic, man?
It really sucks that Flyers fans have to deal with this guy for like 4 or 5 years now. But you know what? Good.
And what about the Wild fans before him? Before that,
Pardon me?
he was the Wild fans before that. Like, he's a big reason
Oh
why
yeah,
the
yes.
NHL got locked out in 2012, 2013. Those Parise and Suter deals,
Yes.
which are still affecting the Wild to this day. They can't put a proper team around Kirill Kaprizov and guys on that team because of those two deals. They're still feeling the effects to this day, man. 15-year deals, I think, for the two of them, or 12-year
I think it
deals,
was like
something
14,
like
12
Yeah.
or 14, something
Dude,
like that.
like,
I know.
come on.
That's the-
How's
that was-
this guy getting
that's
jobs?
That's the cherry on top of his shit cake of moves. That is the
that has to be,
the piece de resistance or whatever.
Listen, at the time it was like, those are for Minnesota, the state of hockey, especially getting like Parise back, yeah. For a long time there, that looked like a good move. Nothing like, it wasn't like he was getting, great value for them, but like, keeping those two around for 15 years seems like a good idea in theory. It's just like, oh my God.
The CBA changed on them and they got royally screwed.
Yeah.
Royally screwed.
It was them plus other. Like, there was other teams that were putting out contracts like that, like ridiculous contracts like that. Yeah. Shea Weber comes to mind, like,
So,
paying a almost 30-year-old defenseman like for 15 years until he's 45. That's like crazy.
And that was
deal.
because of Philly. That was because of Philly.
Yeah, it was because of Philly.
Yeah. It's funny, man.
Okay,
I do have the return here for DeAngelo. I just want to say really quick. They paid a second, third, and fourth for Anthony DeAngelo. It was not a cap dump.
Ooh,
good.
He's been traded 3 times in his career. We always forget that like this guy was drafted by Tampa, and I love to bring up a bunch of the Tampa sniff tests. If Tampa gets rid of you, there's probably a reason. Like, they probably know what they're doing. They shipped him to Arizona for a second. And then he was traded to the Rangers for Stepan and Ranta in 2017. And then Carolina acquired, then Philly acquired him from Carolina for the fourth, third, and second. You can make an argument that fourth, third, and second is as big a return as maybe Stepan and Ranta, considering what they gave to Arizona. That's like, how are you paying for that much for DeAngelo? It's just mind-boggling.
I think
do we want to touch on the? Sorry, Brian, go ahead.
Was there a first involved with that trade?
See, that's what I thought. I thought maybe it was conditional on an extension, but there wasn't anything like that going on here. So
Interesting. No. Okay. One last thing I just wanted to bring up. We talked about in our chat a bit about Flyers. Carter Hart might be on the trade block. That's kind of intriguing.
This is probably like the biggest thing, man. This is like, that's huge. That is huge, man. This guy, he's part of the reason that they had their one little sliver of success in the Chuck Fletcher era, right? The bubble season, they beat they didn't have to beat anyone in the playing round. They were actually one of the better teams. They played Montreal in the first round. I don't remember who they lost to in round 2. I don't know if it was it might have been Boston. I don't know. But either way,
the Islanders?
Maybe it was the Islanders, maybe. Yeah. They won a round though, which is hilarious. Yeah. And so, listen, he was part of the backbone for that team. He had a decent season this year, considering what's in front of him. This is a guy who I think a lot of teams should take a chance on. I almost wonder if there could be like something like would Vancouver want to do like a Demko for Hart swap? Could you do something like that? I don't know what Vancouver wants if they're trading Demko or the same for Philly, but they're like 2 goalies in very similar spots, right? Huge pedigree, showed signs of it in big scenarios like the playoffs.
In the same playoffs.
Right? Yeah, this is very true, right? And like those were like glimpses of brilliance. And we already know how hockey guys are, where it's just like he's a guy who was drafted high. He's not working out. Give him to me. We'll figure him out. And honestly, in this scenario, I think they'd be kind of justified to take a chance on either of those guys, Demko or Hart. But if Philly wants to go rebuild, I think it kind of does make sense. But to me, if you're trading Hart, like there is no untouchables. You're looking to trade Konechny. You're looking to trade everyone. Provorov. I would just you do scorched earth at that point, right?
That is literally like blow the building off its like hinges and like tear it down. If you're keeping like Hart, out of everybody that we mentioned before, out of even like Konechny, I think Hart is more valuable even when he's struggling than a guy like Travis Konechny. I think just because they're such a valuable commodity, and at the very least, he's a proven product. He has that level that he can get back to, and he definitely has the talent. I don't think the talent has ever been in question. I think one thing that should be mentioned is the reason why Chuck Fletcher was hired was they let go of Ron Hextall because he didn't agree with the higher ups in his position. So that would be, I believe, the advisors at this time. It's Paul Holmgren, Bobby Clark. Bobby Clark, who's been with the Flyers organization since the 70s as a player, I think maybe the 60s as a player, and has been there, ever since. So it's 6 decades of, Flyers hockey ingrained in that man. And granted, the guy was a fantastic player, made some, did some good things as I believe he was assistant GM or GM for a little bit in Philly. I believe he was GM at the time of like the Lindros Legion of Boom era. Legion of Doom era. So yeah, he's got the pedigree. I get it 100%, but they were calling for Carter Hart to basically play as I believe he was 20 or 21. It was like, and that was like the start of like, I believe there was other things as well, but that's like that was the tipping point basically for Ron Hextall and Bobby Clark and the rest of that management group to kind of basically say, here's the door, Ron, find your way out, see yourself out. And then they get Fletcher coming in, and the first thing they say for him to do, call up Carter, play him right away. It looked good at the beginning. It did. It was working at first, but I still think they did maybe rush him a little bit too fast. I
they can
hopefully
fix it.
He's not. Yeah, see,
or
so
someone,
that's
or
the thing,
someone
right?
can fix it.
I think.
Yeah, I don't think Philly can.
Yeah,
that's the point I'm trying to make. Is that I don't know if it's here. That's the problem.
Regardless, he's a very talented goaltender, and probably, like we all agree on, the most important piece of that franchise. We're just gonna go on a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, so we are back. The reason I called a break was because obviously, at the point of stopping the break, we were already at 45 minutes. So, and I felt bad. I wanted to give these guys a chance to express about the favorite team. I also did catch like most of the Oilers Leafs game. What a great game, guys! That was probably the best game of hockey I've watched all season. Like, especially for me, because like I don't care about either. Not that I don't care about either team, but for me, I'm a neutral, right? So I got to see such a good battle between teams that actually both wanted to win. Well, two guys that wanted to win, and a roster of people that wanted to win. Do you guys agree with that statement?
Okay, so I'll say one thing to that. I'm not going to discredit the Oilers. Like, Evander Kane put up, like, they all put up actually, like, genuinely good fight. Like, it just, like, the Leafs definitely, like, outworked and outchanced and out everything them. I also don't think
them, I would say.
They definitely outpassioned. Like, the passion levels were through that day, that night. But yeah, no, I'll agree to that, Brian. Like, that was a really, really fun game. It was looking like it wasn't going to be a very fun game for Leaf fans everywhere. Even when they
It felt like for me, you guys were losing up until the moment you weren't, and that exact moment was when Marner picked off that pass.
It's
Like,
dude.
right there, snap. Everything
I'll
changed.
let Dave finish them. I'll let Dave finish your point before we get into the minutia. But yeah,
I don't even remember like what I was saying.
Sorry.
it was looking like a bad
was like
game for the Leafs.
yeah, like it was. It didn't. It
Inky
looked more
goals.
it looked more characteristic of the first game out of that trade deadline against the
Yeah.
Oilers. They laid a similar, or sorry, that was before the trade deadline. Yeah,
actually,
it
you're
was
right. It
the
was
Wednesday,
before.
Thursday, and then trade deadline Friday, then Vancouver. So that first game against Vancouver, which would have been almost a week ago, that game or 2 weeks, whatever.
10 days or
It
whatever
looked,
from when
it
we
definitely
recorded
looked,
last.
yeah, dude, it definitely looked more like that type of performance where it was like the team just looked out of sorts. It was just not very characteristic of them. And then all of a sudden, Mitch Marner picked off a pass by who was it, Ryan McLeod?
Ryan McLeod.
Okay, at the end of the day, listen.
This is a
pickoff on
Dave's
the pass.
boy, Ryan McLeod,
Yeah.
Mississauga Steelhead.
Mississauga Steelheads. Yeah, dude. What were you thinking? Like, why are you trying to seam a pass through? Like, oh, dude, take it around the net. Dude, literally do anything else with it. Put it off the boards, like skate it out. Literally, like that was hands down the worst possible decision to make, and he made it, and it costed them with the game. Basically, that was 2 points.
Yeah,
done and
the
dusted.
momentum just completely changed there, man.
It really felt like the Leafs were starting to come on before that point, but then Marner picks off that pass, and it was like never in doubt. Like they weren't going to lose that game. Like that's how crazy it could just turn on a dime for the Leafs. And it's not something that I don't think we've really seen. We've seen them turn it on, but I don't think we've seen them turn it on while being down. It kind of feels like I don't know. There hasn't been as many.
I understand. It's like they look at the score and say, "Well, we're losing. We might as well continue losing instead of
it's just like we'll run it out
it.
and then that's it." Yeah, that's how it's either they win when they're winning or they lose when they're losing. They were known for a few years as being the comeback kids. Like they had quite a few comeback wins, but this year it hasn't really felt like that. And I think that
I would say it's because we haven't had to make as many comebacks too, though, right? Like it's almost
very true.
Almost a progression in that sense.
Yeah. So I think that runs down to like the fundamental like core difference for the way that this team plays. Brian, before this year, if I asked you how do the Toronto Maple Leafs play, what would you say their style of play was?
Just fast and skillful. That's just what I like. Counterattack, like transition play.
Yeah,
you take a punch, you give a punch. You take a punch, you give a punch. Kind of.
So most people would definitely agree. I would have definitely agreed with that. That's not how they play anymore. They're not playing with, they did have the chances. I'm not going to say that it doesn't happen. Like they never score off the rush anymore. But in years past, a lot of their offense was generated off the rush, off of power plays, which the other night in Edmonton, whether you want to see it either way, the Leafs got their fair share of power play chances and converted on a couple of them. But that's not how they play anymore. It's definitely much more of a balanced system in terms of when
rush
they're
versus
up,
cycle.
Rush versus cycle, exactly. And then when they're up, they're not going to give away the lead. They'll squeeze. They are the anaconda, watertight defense now.
We're super systems heavy now. We didn't it felt like our system was pretty loose back in the day. This is a tight system, man. Everyone has to play it, and it's not like one line. Like it looks like the whole team plays the exact same system, and they do it well. There's no passengers in this system anymore.
And that's
100%.
That's one of the most important things because if everybody buys in, it works, right? It doesn't matter if you're on the wrong page, right? As long as the whole team's on the same page, everything's gonna be fine because the mindset's unified.
More noticeable. It's more noticeable to find somebody who's not on the same page. It's very easy to pick out somebody who's not on that page. So, and I'll give the newcomers, guys like Ryan O'Reilly, Noel Acciari, it kind of felt like, you know, they were
Seamless.
they were in system heavy. Like I'll note those two in particular because of the style of play that Craig Berube plays. He plays I would honestly say a maybe not similar type, but it's got a very systems heavy type style of play, right? So I think that probably leads to it being more seamless for guys like that to come in and immediately like light it up. And Noel Acciari was rewarded against the Oilers with 2 fourth line goals, like big goals against the Oilers. I don't know, Christian, what else you got there, dude? Oh, Brian.
Go ahead, Brian. Go first.
Speaking of Chari, he's the player that stood out the most on your team that night. The second player that stood out a lot to me was Bunting. He's always on the screen. Like, even if he's not doing anything, someone's slashing him or he's slashing somebody. It's kind of like, I mentioned this to you guys, it's literally Brendan Gallagher, but like more annoying because like he's opening his mouth. And
see, that's the thing though. Like the past month, the Bunting talk has been, and like even if like somebody asked Bunting this maybe last week, Bunting, how would you describe your game right now? And his answer was, I don't know. It is what it is. He was lost. He was lost for a number of reasons. The most important of which was because he was basically told to shut his mouth and take the antics down a level. That doesn't work for Bunting. That is his game, and I do think that he has the discipline in himself to walk the fine line pretty well. He in the Edmonton game, he got an embellishment penalty. I haven't looked back at the call. I only saw it in the real time. You can make your argument either way, whatever. But this guy just like the refs. His reputation with the refs is terrible still. Evander Kane said, "Yeah, this guy dives and everything. We want to take that out of the game." Like he does not have a good reputation among players or referees. But honestly, like you gotta let him go. You gotta let him run his mouth. You gotta let him get into dirty areas because that's when you get the best Bunting in terms of offense, in terms of engagement, in terms of everything relating to this team. He is part of the identity when he's doing the Bunting things. So hopefully we're going to see more of that coming forward because we did see it in the Edmonton game. Didn't translate to the score sheet, but like Brian said, he was noticeable. I know we're running out of time, so really quickly here, I just want to keep running down the new guys. Some of the new guys. We talked about Noel Acciari. Stellar. He's been fantastic. I think he had like 7 shots. Sneaky. He's got sneaky offense because he just goes straight for the net. And if we're playing that cycle game, he stays in front of the net. Good luck getting him out of there. If we put a puck on net, he's there for the rebound. He's whacking at it. He's great. It's been fantastic. Lafferty, he got a sniff at the second line role. Me and Dave talked about him earlier on. I think it honestly might have been during the Vancouver game. We were comparing him to Kerfoot. Speedy guy. Both of them are very speedy. Kerfoot, we said he's more of like that water bug, jittery. He's got that lateral movement. He's very agile, very, very slippery. Sam Lafferty, he's more like a missile. This guy, like, he just sees the puck and calculates the route in his head. What is the shortest path to this puck? And I'm taking that path. He's been a pretty good addition as well. And it's great to see that the coaching staff already has a lot of confidence in him to put him in that 2C spot. And they did hit the score sheet. Which game was it that they hit the score sheet?
Last game against Jersey.
Jersey. That was another character win for us, man. We had 2 really big wins in a row, and they were really good. That line with Yarncroke, Nylander, and Lafferty. McCabe continues to impress me. He's been trusted by the staff,
fantastic.
Right? Yeah, he does it all, man. What doesn't he do?
I think that has like okay. At the end of his time with the Leafs, he's still gonna be an underrated. Like that was such a beautiful. I was not convinced before. I guess he
didn't have a good impression on us in that Chicago game.
Not watching enough Blackhawks games, even on the Sabres too. Like, listen, he was dealt probably one of the worst hands as a hockey player. 10 years in the league, he's been pretty consistent, but just been on god awful teams. He's going to be in the playoffs for the first time in his career, so hats off to him. Not Ron Hainsey right? Was it Ron Hainsey who held that? Something like that.
Yeah, no, it was Ron Hainsey, like 900 games before appearing in his
crazy.
first playoff game.
Insane. But
and then he wins the cup.
What an absolute
he does it all, man.
I can't even
he hasn't had a major gap yet.
Nothing, literally nothing. He's been so watertight, it's been unbelievable. Yeah. I've been so happy with that signing, and to think that he's gonna be on this team, I would say, for the next 2 years for sure. That's
$2 million. At $2 million.
Oh my God.
You're getting Jake Muzzin for 50% off. Right?
Oh,
that's sort of he's honestly been closer to Jake Muzzin than I ever thought.
He might be better.
He's better. He's better than last year's Jake Muzzin for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
When Jake Muzzin got to the team, 100%. Dude, Jake Muzzin was a breath of fresh air.
I think that's a little heavier, but McCabe's got a little bit more mobility, man. He's honestly a lot.
I think that Muzzin pickup was more of a product of the team itself. He kind of forced himself, even for as big as he is. I think he forced himself to be bigger just because he was always looked on. Yeah,
he destroyed a guy in Muzzin's first game. Muzzin just clobbered a guy at the end of the building with it and said, "Oh my God, someone who hits." Because at that point, we had none of these Simmons, Thornton, those guys weren't here yet,
and
right?
You see, so that's my point, right? Jake McCabe he is that type of guy.
He's just a small part.
He is a small part because you also have guys like Noel Achari, Zach Aston-Reese, who are are big guys who will fill you in, and then in Achari's case,
Shen if he's playing.
Oh, I completely forgot about him. Right. He's been off with baby-related. He's
not playing tonight either. Yeah,
reasons. Yeah, he's out in Vancouver. So good luck to him and his wife. I guess if they're ever going to see this podcast, I'll send them my wishes. But yeah, so that's I think where those two, where you could see the comparisons. But I also see I think by the end of his time, even if it's only 3 years, he'll be looked on in the future as just maybe potentially one of the greatest success stories from Dubas, who's had very good success finding guys, having to kind of chop and change and get discounts, stuff like that. We look at Mike Bunting, finding Mike Bunting diamond in the rough. Nobody tell me that anybody knew that guy was going to be a 20-goal scorer immediately on 900K. So it's stuff like that. It just adds to the resume. But I think at the end, Jake McCabe will be the crown jewel in that piece. I'm
Ryan,
honestly,
how we doing for
so
time?
Excited. We have 6 minutes left. We can keep going.
Okay. No, I just wanted to.
Let's cap. I'm so excited to see him again tonight. Honestly, he's such a joy to watch.
He fights. He's already dropped the gloves once, attempted to drop the gloves another time, right? Against Kane, right? Or one of them inadvertently fell off. But listen, man, he's been 10 out of 10. The offense hasn't been there yet, but he's not afraid to join the rush or to take a shot on net from the point. Yeah, and I think it'll come, and that is secondary. That is not what we're expecting from McCabe. That would just be pure gravy. Just wanted to mention that.
At some point, that power bomb is going to go in, and it's going to be all hell breaking loose. It's going to go in, and he's going to score 5 more in 7 games, basically.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, imagine if he could be Rasmus Sandin, eh? Wow.
Oh, well.
Okay, last thing I want to touch on here. This is a quote from Keefe today. Let me pull it up again. This is from Luke Fox. Sheldon Keefe is becoming more open to going 11-7 in the playoffs in light of his newfound defensive depth. It's important that we're not just locked into 12-6. While 12-6 is the most comfortable situation, it might not be the best one. This is coming off 2 great wins where we did deploy 11-7 against Jersey and Edmonton, as we mentioned. Dave, are you coming around to the idea of 11-7, or are you still a bit apprehensive?
You know what? I think the more and more you think of it, I don't know if it's on Dubas's part. I think this might just be Keefe making do with what he has. I think the surplus of defensemen just adds to, as much as you would like to see guys like Holmberg, maybe Steves, Simmons out of the, like, he's so far out of the lineup, he's already the assistant GM. Like, that's basically where he is right now. So, you're not going to probably see guys like that for the stretch if they keep playing 11-7, which I guess is unfortunate. But at the end of the day, I would
It
like
seems
to
like the
see
right move right now. It does kind of seem like the right move.
it looks like until it doesn't work anymore, maybe just keep it going. I'm 100% coming. When 11-7 was first brought up, it was more like,
not a fan.
I wasn't.
I'm not a fan
really
of it at full health either. For me, it really just comes down to we don't have O'Reilly. Like, we don't have our 12 usual guys.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Once O'Reilly's back in, Aston Reese becomes your 12. Right?
Yeah.
Right now, Aston Reese is your 11. When you have Aston Reese as your 12, I like it. And then you're throwing in Nyes into the mix. He could be the 12. That's when I like 12 and 6. For me, it's about the defense, getting them into a rhythm. We talked about Sandin and his usage, how when he was getting the sparing minutes here in a sheltered role, he never really had that full confidence to do the stuff that he's doing in Washington right now. When you're playing 25 minutes a night, you're the man. You are the man. Justin Hall, Eric Gustafsson, Luke Shen, Timothy Liljegren, none of those guys are ever going to get their chance to really impose themselves on the game. And I don't know, we still haven't answered the question. It's going to be answered with time if that's a good thing for these players. I'd argue it might be a good thing for Justin Hall because I think when he has been overworked is when he gets exposed. So maybe limiting his minutes is what keeps him in check. Gustafsson, I have no idea, but I'm honestly leaning to the Sandin thing, where it's about the fact that Gustafsson, when he plays 20 plus minutes, he puts up the numbers like he did in Washington. I don't know how much playing 13, 14 minutes is really going to help him here in Toronto, or if he's going to give us his best stuff. And we saw him make the gaff in the Calgary game, right? And that was when he was playing like 12 minutes. Shen remains to be seen. I don't have really too many Shen opinions there because he's got to play some more. Liljegren, I think he's kind of used to this because he's been in this spot before. For me, the big thing is Gustafsson and Hall. I feel like those are the 6 and 7 kind of right now, and at least trying to see what they got. What do you think about this, Steph?
So here's the thing. I think for a little stretch now, reducing some of the minutes from guys like Rielly and Giordano in particularly, I think will probably do both of them better in the long run. I think Rielly has been playing, he's been consistently the 25 to 27 minute a night guy. I still think he's a little bit banged up. I'd rather have him, playing at under 20 minutes. I'd like to see him at like 18 to 20 minutes maybe.
I'll mention that it's what he got against in the Edmonton game. The player who played the most on defense was Brody, followed by McCabe.
Yeah. And he was only at 20 minutes. He was only at 20 minutes, Brody, too, right? So if you take down Rielly's minutes, you take down Gio's minutes, and you spread it around, I think it's better for the long run for this team. You've got the surplus of D. You might as well just let them get some reps in before, O'Reilly's out until the beginning of April basically.
He's going to return with like 4 or 5 games left.
Right? I would imagine he returns earlier than I would think the end of March. Honestly,
Okay. Honestly, if I would just keep him in the crowd chamber for an extra 3-4 days. We don't have to rush him.
That would
I get it.
Yeah, the logical answer. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think he's already saying to the doctors, like, hey, I'm able to wiggle my finger a little bit. When can I get back on the ice? Like, I feel like he's one of those types of guys.
Agreed.
So I think for the time being, keep 11-7. When it doesn't work, then you shake it up, basically. I guess maybe just quickly we'll do a little bit of pre-game Sabres talk. Full disclosure, I'm not going to be a pessimist here. I think the Leafs are going to lose tonight. I think the Sabres are going to come in a bit hungrier. And
we slapped them 2 times in a row.
We did. And I don't know if they appreciated being slapped around, especially at home. Because let's take a trip back. The Leafs came out with 2 points that game, but that was a 5-0 game that quickly turned into a 5-3 game, like in the matter of half a period.
And that was a home game too, basically.
That was yeah. Well, unfortunately
okay.
for Sabres,
that's what you're saying.
But,
no, that's what you're saying.
So I think for that reason, I'm not gonna. I've already got it set in my heart that the Sabres are gonna win tonight. I just want to see a good team effort. If it's a strong battle between the two teams, I think I'm just saying that because I love Tage Thompson and Alex Tuch and the rest of the Sabres.
Too. I want to see Tager have a
want to see
game
them.
tonight. I want to see him have. He hasn't had a game against the Leafs yet where he just kind of was Tager. I want to see him.
So that's the thing. Like, listen, the Leafs they don't need the 2 points. Just give it to Buffalo. I don't want to see as much as like I said at the beginning of the year that the Isles were going to make the playoffs. I would be completely content to be wrong if the Isles drop out and the Sabres and the Sens make it in, because I think they're playing so hot right now and they're playing just great hockey. Even though the Sens got stomped last night by the Flames, but
right?
Yeah. If those two teams make it in, I'd be genuinely happy for them because those are two tortured fan bases over the past like 5+ years. So, good on them for doing some bits, I guess. I think
give us a score prediction for tonight. What's their score prediction?
4-3 Sabres.
Okay. I'm going to go 5-4 overtime win for the Leafs. That's what I'm feeling.
Okay. That's not bad.
Tage Thompson hat trick.
I think that. One goal
I'd be all over that, man. I think Tager gets he gets the signature clapper. He does his little Ovi impression. I'll say it's that. Yeah, on the power play. Yeah. Okay. That's all I got.
One thing I will say about your situation with the 11-7. So the only time 11-7 works, I've said this before, is when the 7th demon is special and can provide something that the rest of the demon cannot. For us, it was Nate Schmidt. Obviously, you guys have seen it. The mobility was there. Now you got to ask yourself, do you know if Gustafsson can provide that with your team? Or I don't think the reason they're doing the 7 is because of Hall. The injury.
To me, that's why they're doing the 7. They're trying to say, how can we justify keeping Justin Hall in this lineup? And their justification is it's going 7. I think that's 100% what this is.
And I think there is merit to that because Justin Hall has been, Marner, you think of the Leafs PK, it's in terms of
importance
and effectiveness on that PK. I would maybe say like Marner and Cam are like tied for first, but then it's Justin Hall.
I can give the edge to Marner. Yeah, I think you can make the argument Hall is the most effective penalty-killing defenseman, and that Marner is the
on that
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
So they cannot convince themselves that Hall can be kicked out of this group. That's what it is.
Yeah,
that is what it is.
I think at this point, it just accept that he's going to be. He's playing game 1. And
listen. I talked about this might be good for him. The 7D might be good for him because he hasn't got turnstile in the past couple games that I've watched. And maybe that continues to be the trend. Maybe
I won't lie to you.
Yeah, but okay, but that was
against Jersey. No, there was one against, or I think maybe them both. There was one against
Howler goals.
Yeah, I apologize for that.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Listen, it's a very small sample size, but I do wonder if less ice time is what helps Justin Hall.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
So the question I'm going to ask you guys both as fans before we end off is, does Justin Hall provide enough to this team to go 11-7? Yes or no?
For the long term?
Right now, for the playoffs, like for this season going forward. Ooh. Yes or no?
No, okay, so Christian mentioned it before, because for the playoffs, I don't think we're going to see an 11-7 for the playoffs. I think Justin Hall is going to be in the lineup game 1, but I think that's going to be taking somebody out of the lineup, and I just know in my heart it's going to be Timothy Liljegren, and it's gonna frustrate the fan base so much they better win that game and justify why Justin Hall. Like I could already see it now. Like they're gonna lose that first game potentially at home, and the fan base is gonna be a fire keep chants in the streets. And maybe that's for the best. Who knows? I think for right now it works. I don't think in the long run it's gonna be how it's gonna look. Like right now, sure. Game 1, no. That's my opinion.
I kind of feel they're going to end up going 11-7 in game 1. I kind of do think that they're going to do that. I don't know who the 7's going to be. Like, you're going to have Hall in there, and actually, well, no, it would be Hall and Milligren. That's what it's going to be. Yeah, so you're going to have McCabe, Brody, Rielly, Lilligren maybe, and Geo Hall. And who am I forgetting as a 7? Oh, so no, I'm forgetting someone. No, but he's not the 7 either. Maybe I just named the 6.
McCabe?
I feel like I'm McCabe, Brody, Rielly, Lilligren, Geo, Hall. You know what? That I think
Timmins.
maybe I figured. Maybe no, Timmins isn't touching it. Timmins is like the 9.
Dude, he's
now.
like 9 right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So maybe they do go 6. Maybe I just convinced myself that they do go 6, and maybe your argument is then Aston Reese says the 12 or Nyes is the 12. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
I think that's
come
what
around
it's
on
going
it.
to look like.
Okay.
Hey,
Which is good.
Good
Good problem to have.
You brought up that point before with O'Reilly. I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why they're
You can
more
experiment.
open. Yeah, they're more open and accepting the 11-7 instead of the 12-6.
One more thing, super fast here. Ryan O'Reilly, 3C versus 2LW conversation. I think we had this argument last time. I already forget what my answer was. I think I argued for him in the top 6. To reinforce that point, he's coming off a finger injury. This has been brought up by other people as well, though. What are the odds he's going to be taking face-offs as a 3C coming off a finger injury? Probably not many, right? So I think you end up maybe having him in the top 6 with Tavares taking the face-offs, but him being in center position during play, and Tavares as a left wing. I don't think we end up with that just based off of the finger injury. Okay.
Good problems to have.
Okay.
Very good problems to have.
St. Patrick's Day is coming up. You can get your Leafs Ryan O'Reilly jersey on NHLShop.ca. Shout out to Fubo TV where you can watch Hockey Night in Canada. Shout out to Razor. Thank you for listening. We are well above the time we wanted, but that's perfectly fine. It's good conversations. Anything else you guys want to say besides check out Dave's TikToks that I'm going to watch after this?
Good.
Check out Dave's TikToks. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay. All the best.
Yeah.
More stuff coming soon. All the best.